We want to start with some rumors, really, Mitch, and there's a couple that jump out. Let's start with the draft, just because I feel like that's, on everyone's mind with the Islanders having the number one pick. We'll get to their meeting with Matthew Schaefer in a little bit, but there's rumblings that the Utah Mammoth, we could officially call it they have a team name now, not just Utah, are looking to potentially trade out of their pick at pick number 4. And what they're looking is for a top 6 forward.
We got some of those. Obviously, they don't want just anyone. They're not going to take Kyle Palmieri for the 4th overall pick. But would they not be interested in maybe, let's say, Simon Holmstrom? I'm not saying 1 for 1, but let's just start the discussion there in terms of they want a top 6 forward. Simon Holmstrom is definitely a top 6 forward.
Yes, coming off of a 20-goal, 45-point season, a nice step up in his age 23 season. Still really young. I like Simon Holmstrom a lot. I thought he, took a very positive, big and positive step forward this year. And assuming he stays with the Islanders, because I think that's most likely to happen here, I'd be good with it because I think he's, a good player. Mm-hmm. With that said, if my options are Simon Holmstrom or potentially James Higgins, I'm taking James Higgins. I'm sorry to Simon Holmstrom. I don't mean any disrespect to him, but I would rather go the Higgins route.
I would absolutely also rather go the Higgins route. That would be a huge jump in value for us. I would believe, like, James Higgins projected to be a point per game player or near at the NHL level down the middle, or on the wing. Maybe he just doesn't pan out at a center. It doesn't matter. I want to do that. It sets us up for the future. Maybe we're not good right away next year because we'd have the 1st and 4th overall pick, but God damn it, man. Inject that shit into my veins. You would go from a team who, as we mentioned earlier, would have had Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri, 2 fine players on multi-year deals at big money, or you would have Matthew Schaefer and James Higgins entering the league as 18-year-olds. I'll take the latter very much. Thank you.
Yeah, that feels like something. And again, you're giving up on someone who just turned 24 years old, who seems like an ascending player, which is, we're not sitting here saying trade Simon Holmstrom to trade Simon Holmstrom, but in this unique scenario where if you can acquire the 4th overall pick and land, because you have the number 1 pick, for argument's sake, if you're gonna take James Higgins 4th, which seems like we'd all be on board with, I would imagine Matthew Schaefer is the pick at 1st overall. So adding an 18-year-old on the back end for the defense and an 18-year-old forward, who, as you mentioned, is one of the best playmakers in this draft class and projects to be close to a point per game player at the next level, that's something that could really change the trajectory of your team over the next few years.
Absolutely. And so I guess the big question is, would Utah be interested in Simon Holmstrom? And I say absolutely. I absolutely think they would, because their depth on the right side is not very deep. It's a shallow pool, man. Yeah,
that it seems like a fit. He's good defensively too, which I think matters, right? You're looking for someone who's a two-way player. He has size at 6'2", 215. It's not like he's, a smaller guy. I don't think, as you said, I don't think it would be Holmstrom for the number 4 pick straight up.
No.
But could we get into the conversation of Holmstrom in Colorado's first next year? That's, I would do that. You're likely jumping up. Where do you think Colorado's going to pick next year? 27th?
Sure. Yeah. In the late 20s, I would say. Yeah, sure.
Right. So you're jumping up roughly 20 spots in the draft, and you're giving up Simon Holmstrom, obviously, a year from now.
The only reason I winced isn't because the value isn't there. It's that I don't know if they're interested in that, right? Like they're giving up the 4th overall. I don't think they care about getting another 1st round pick. Maybe they can move, they can do something with it because, as you're pointing out, like they get the piece in Simon Holmstrom. That's what they're looking for. Maybe you add another prospect in. Maybe you package Isaiah George with it or something like that. And that to me is still a win. As much as I like Isaiah George and I would like to keep him on the team, if he gets to the 4th overall pick and we get to have another young star who was, born and bred on Long Island, seems like a huge win, man.
Can I try to sell you on why I think Utah would be interested in that 1st round pick?
Yes.
So as we know, it's next year. It's not this year's draft
Correct.
pick. So I know that they view themselves ascending, right? They're not at the part where you're selling everything off and acquiring picks.
Yeah.
But that gives them more ammunition to use at the trade deadline to improve.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. You got an extra first round pick to dangle around and play with that you don't care about. You just don't. So you're right. There could be a market there within Utah to pick him up, to pick that specific 2026 first round pick. And if that's all it takes, man, I'm not batting an eyelash. That's a win.
No, and the Islanders, are lucky because they have 2 first round picks in next year's draft, thanks to the Brock Nelson trade. So essentially turning Brock Nelson into James Higgins and Cal Ritchie, I think would be a major win.
He's so huge. That'd be so huge. And look, I said it before that the Utah Mammoth need help on the right. Their right-hand side, as of right now, on both cap wages and on daily faceoff, is Dylan Genther, Kyler Yamamoto, Josh Doan, and Nick Bjugstad.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
Like Josh Doan might be pretty good, might be able to step into that second line. Kyler Yamamoto is not. You put Simon Holmes from there, and that redevelops, and he can play anywhere in the top 9. I would argue, specifically on that team. And you put him with Cooley Keller. I don't know, man. He might be a 60-point player. I
think there's a chance that he would be. I think that would work out really well. Cooley and Keller with Holmstrom on the right. I can get behind that. I think that makes a lot of sense for a top line.
Right. And I would get it if any Islander fan listening is going, well, why would you want to give up on a 60-point player? Sure, that's totally fair. On a 60-point player today or tomorrow, I should say, as in like immediately tomorrow, whereas James Higgins, if we get him, could do more based off of what we've heard. So the risk is there that he doesn't. And even if he does, it's only going to be in, at best, 2 years. Yeah. At best.
It might take a little bit.
So that's the risk we're playing with here, but I would play with that risk like without a doubt. I wouldn't even think about it twice.
Yeah, I would do that also.
Yeah, it's just I don't think we're going to be the only ones gunning for that 4th overall pick. So can we package together a deal good enough to not only meet their valuation but beat out other teams?
Which might be that might be very tough.
Yeah. Although who knows, right? Like when you think about it, the teams that have a lot to give, who's going for a 4th overall pick? No one in contention, right? Like contenders don't care about that. They're not in that sphere. So it's going to be all the lower hanging fruit. Well, some of the lower hanging fruit has been lower hanging fruit for a goddamn long time, and they're not looking for 4th overall picks either. They're just saying like we need the top 6 guys as well.
If you like that, make sure to subscribe to Up the Turnpike on Patreon for more exclusive New York Islanders content.